Hi class, welcome back. During today's lesson, we will be discussing 5 more presidents. So far, up until this point, we have learned about our country's first 15 presidents, and now we're going to explore even more and continue learning about some of America's greatest leaders.
Before we get moving on to today's lesson, I want to quickly recap on what we learned last week. In our past lessons, we have started learning our country's presidents. So far, we have learned the first 15. Let's review. Who was the 5th president of the United States? The answer is James Monroe. Next question. What was unique about George Washington's teeth? If you said that they were made out of wood, sadly you would be incorrect. The common misconception is that, but they're actually made out of ivory. Next question. What made Martin Van Buren different from the president before him? Martin Van Buren was the first president to be born in the United States.
Great job on the review. Okay, now we are going to begin. Our first president we will learn about today is a quite famous one. His name is Abraham Lincoln. He was president from the years 1861 till 1865. President Lincoln loved animals and was quoted saying, "Cruelty to animals is wrong. An ant's life is as sweet to it as ours is to us." It makes sense that this was Abraham Lincoln's view when he helped to abolish slavery during his presidency. President Lincoln declared the Emancipation Proclamation that all slaves in the states that had broken away would be free. Abraham Lincoln did many great things during his presidency, and another one of them was the 13th Amendment. This amendment abolished slavery in the United States of America. In the year 1865, Abraham Lincoln became the first president to be assassinated. He was killed by a man named John Wilkes Booth. Booth had very different views and did not like Lincoln. He was angry that Lincoln wanted to give more freedom to African Americans. John Wilkes Booth shot President Lincoln in the head while he was watching a play with his wife.
I want to quickly expand on what exactly is the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery, but it took a very long time for this to happen because many people during this time were not okay with slavery being abolished. Luckily, those people were in the minority, and the 13th Amendment won in the year 1865. However, it was still possible for people to be sentenced to slavery if they committed a crime.
Andrew Johnson was our country's 17th president. He had big shoes to fill as he took over the role as president right after Abraham Lincoln was shot and killed. Johnson was president from the years 1865 to 1869. He grew up in North Carolina from an incredibly poor family. He never even attended school. When he was a young man, he moved to Tennessee. Tennessee is where he finally became interested in politics. In this city, he was influenced by the Democratic Party, and thus his love for politics began. However, many of Johnson's ideas were not popular with the rest of America, and he became the first president to be impeached.
So what exactly does it mean to be impeached? Well, for a president to be impeached, it means that their integrity has been called into question. People feel that they aren't keeping the right things in their best interest. Being impeached means that the person in that public office is being charged with misconduct, treason, or another crime against the state. Since Andrew Johnson, there has only been one other president to be impeached, and that was Bill Clinton. We will be learning about him much later as he was a much more recent president.
Our 18th president was Ulysses S. Grant. He was president from the years 1869 to 1877, and he was quite a popular president. Grant was born in Ohio in the year 1822. During the Civil War, he fought for the North and was a commanding general. He was a very important figure during the Civil War and became even more important afterwards. His political views tended to lean more towards the radical Republican side. During his presidency, he created the Department of Justice, and he prosecuted against the Ku Klux Klan. This is also known as the KKK. He also appointed African American and Jewish Americans to federal positions.
We will quickly discuss what the Department of Justice is. The Department of Justice, or DOJ, is completely responsible for enforcing the laws of the United States of America. It ensures that civilians living in the U.S. will be kept safe from the threats made against our country, both inside and outside of our borders.
Our country's 19th president was Rutherford B. Hayes. President Hayes was greatly known for trying to reform our government as well as ending the era of Reconstruction in the South. When he was running for president, it was a very tight race against a New York prosecutor, and it was the closest election in history. Hayes wanted to protect the rights of people of all races. A very interesting fact about Rutherford B. Hayes is that he was the first president to use a telephone. He was only president for one term. He then decided to retire and spend the remainder of his days working on humanitarian causes and education for the poor.
So, what was the Reconstruction era? Reconstruction in the South took place right after the Civil War. It was a period from 1865 to 1877 where basically a lot of change happened. The states that left the North and joined the Confederacy during the Civil War were now working on joining the Union again. The main purpose of this era was to assist the South in becoming part of the United States again and help them adapt to the new slavery laws.
Our 20th president and last one we will discuss today is James Garfield. He was president in the year 1881. His presidency was unfortunately a very quick one because he was assassinated only 200 days after becoming president. When the Civil War began, Garfield joined the army. Garfield was very adamant that political corruption come to an end. He absolutely refused to give people jobs just because they supported his campaign. He gave jobs to those he felt were most qualified. James Garfield was an excellent public speaker. Because of his powerful voice and his ability to public speak, he was given the nickname Preacher President. Garfield was also the first president to have his mother attend his inauguration.
So our last discussion is to quickly just explain what inauguration is. An inauguration is the beginning or introduction of a system, policy, or period. For the President of the United States, it is a ceremonial introduction into office.
Okay, that concludes today's lesson, so thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.